This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
Hello and welcome to the DailyFX Forum Highlights video. Just scanning through the threads tonight here on the scalping and intraday trading thread. Here's a post by Sean Hyman I wanted to highlight. This is from Friday. Are any of you riding this momentum wave this morning? Again, this is from Friday, and he's showing the pound yen on a 15-minute chart, and obviously a very large rally in the pair. And then some other forum participants come back. And I did want to highlight a post down here also by Sean showing the euro dollar. And the last time, this is the last major top just beneath that, actually just a few pips above that 160 area, and we could see that it did take 4 months to complete. So even if this is a big turn in the euro dollar, as it did take out the trend line, which I will speak about later, it could take a little while to form, and we should not expect next day service. So again, a great post by Sean there. Another post that I wanted to highlight by Brad1199, who's responding to Sean's post as well, is on the pound. This is the pound yen daily, and he's showing an entry here based on the hammer candle, hammer to the downside, leaving behind a long wick. And obviously that means, remember, at one point this candle was a huge red, ugly red candle, and prices closed back at this level here. So that shows clear support in the pair. And usually I like to enter these trades placing my stop back beneath the hammer. Now, in all honesty, what would have happened to me? I personally would have missed this trade because there's a little bit too much risk. But Brad likes to take a little bit more risk in each trade, and he probably risked about at least 200 pips here on this entry. But we could see that the upside was large, about 600 pips, and now he has taken profits. And I did want to highlight some comments that were written to Brad as well about this post, and this would be the next page again here on the scalping and intraday trading strategies thread. And here's a post by SKS. Is there any possibility for a pullback? And I like Brad's comment here. To be frank, in my opinion, the pound yen is likely one of the hardest pairs to trade right now due to unclear technical pattern or directional bias. I say just be careful with it. And the things that he says here that I like, a major technical level here, 148.15. And right now, what Brad's saying is that the market's kind of elbowing out, if you will, sort of boundaries, and trying to figure out where it wants to be in relation to that 48.15 area. And it's going to be a little choppy until that happens. And I like what he says. Eventually, the level will act as solid resistance or solid support. And I would stop that sentence right there. That's clear, linear thinking. You don't have any convictions. You don't have any opinions. You're letting the market action or the price action form your opinions for you. And that's the sign of an excellent trader. And then some other posts that I wanted to highlight here. Here's a new member, ATAC, who's posting some questions about his account, how long it takes for a deposit in the account to actually hit the account. And here's the last post that I wanted to highlight, a scalping strategy by Quasi here, and he's about to post his strategy, and I fully encourage you to do so. And he will break up the trading process into 2 stages, and one is pre-trading, and where he has full control, and 2 is post-trading, where I have little control. And that's an excellent point that I wanted to highlight here. And what I like to say is that you are in full control before you enter the trade. And once you do enter the trade, in my opinion, everything that happens convinces you to backtrack on your analysis that you had before the trade. You can't think, your decision making is severely clouded once you are in the trade, and that's okay as long as you're fully cognizant of that fact. And that's the most important thing in trading, is to remain emotionless, if you will. And the best way to do that is to develop your plan beforehand, and kind of, I don't want to say you don't want to pay attention while you're in the trade, but pay attention to your thoughts, that they might not be real, they might be, you know, illusions, if you will, or certain emotions are forcing you to want to make certain decisions which you shouldn't do because you didn't decide on those before you entered the trade. And I did want to highlight now the euro dollar, as it did break beneath the longer term support line here. I just want to zoom in a little bit, and we can see prices actually close back beneath the level. We have a huge, ugly, bearish engulfing candle here, and now prices could be testing this line from the opposite side. This is a trade setup that could develop over the next 24 hours or so, and I'd like to see actually prices come up and touch this line. And personally, I might look to enter with about a 50 pip stop or so. But the trend has been so strong, and this is similar similar to the Aussie dollar trade that I traded the other day, and I lost on that trade as well. But in my opinion, these trades are worth it because the upside in this case, that would mean that the pair is falling, but the upside in terms of profits can be very large, and as long as you keep the risk relatively tight. And again, all I'm going to give this trade idea is 50 pips, and I'm waiting for that ideal entry, which again would be anywhere on this line. And I make my lines thick for a reason, because we should always treat these areas as general areas of support or general areas as resistance. And I want to wait to see prices come up and touch this line, because if I'm stopped out, I want to see at least a brief spike above this line. And again, that's the way that I personally view each and every trade decision. If I get stopped out, there's a clear technical reason that I got stopped out. A trend line was violated, a support line was violated, what have you. The idea is that I have a clear linear reason as to why I was exited from the trade. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the DailyFX. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the DailyFX forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums, and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com. And usually there on the upper right hand corner, I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things, with the right mind, in terms of, I might be missing stuff that other traders can see. And that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.